Pokémon is now such a staple in the gaming sphere that many generations of people have gone on their own Pokémon adventures in the wonderful, colourful world of Pocket Monsters. Collecting, battling, trading, it's all good fun. Yes, it's pretty clear that the Pokémon franchise is built to be family friendly. Good for all ages, including that of young children. Which is why it's particularly concerning when you have a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the things in these games and realise how goddamn creepy some of it actually is. So, for today's video, I decided to look back into the world of Pokémon to see if I could find a cool topic to talk about. And today we're talking about something particularly sinister. Not only because of the fact that we're talking about a Pokémon which is a zombie, but that the idea behind it is inspired behind something in real life, which is terrifying. Hello! Welcome to Brainspill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and I think this whole thing about Parasect being a zombie raises more questions than answers, and makes me wonder when I was 10 years old why I never realised this was the case before, because this is terrifying. Let's go for a deeper dive, shall we? So, Parasect is, of course, a Pokémon. Released in the first generation of the Pokémon games, it is a dual grass and bug type, which is, okay, I guess. And I think because of that fact, many people got it and then just kind of brushed past it, like nobody really had a Parasect in their party, am I right? However, we are jumping ahead of ourselves here a little bit, mainly due to the fact that Parasect is the evolved form of the previous Pokemon, Paris, which looks so gosh darn cute, and I just want to give him a little hug. I mean, look at those eyes. How could you say that this was a zombie? And, well, for Paris at least, Paris is not a zombie. Paris is its own Pokemon. And just to kind of explain where I'm going with this, I'm going to read you some of the Pokédex entries from some of the games, just to give you an idea of how this all comes about. In Pokemon Red and Blue, it says that Paris burrows to suck tree roots. The mushrooms on its back grow by drawing nutrients from the bug host. Okay, kind of like a symbiotic relationship sort of thing, like they both win, maybe? In Diamond and Pearl versions of the game, the Pokédex entries say, mushrooms named Toshukaso grow on its back. They grow along with the host Paris. Okay, this is starting to sound a little bit more sus, but I'll run with it. The Pokemon Sun Index is a little bit more direct and says the following. No matter how much it eats, the mushrooms growing on its back steal away most of the nutrients it consumes. That's just mean. However, it's explained in the Legends Arceus Pokédex, which says the following. Sometimes seen at the foot of trees in humid forests, the mushrooms on its back, called Toshukaso, are not present on infant specimens and instead emerge as Paris matures. Okay, so we know that these mushrooms, otherwise known as Toshukasu, are on the Paris at birth pretty much, but they grow with it, so basically they aren't really much of a threat. Yet. This can be pretty much seen in the anime series too, where you see Paris that basically don't have mushrooms and some that do. It's all pretty weird stuff. The trivia on these mushrooms states that they attach to the eggs of Paris, in which the mushroom grows when the Paris does. Hence those funny little mushrooms on Paris's head. Basically, if the penny hasn't dropped, these are parasitic mushrooms. And this makes me incredibly sad because, like I said at the beginning of the video, I have no idea why I didn't realise this when I was 10 years old. Probably due to the fact that I wasn't really paying too much mind what the Pokédex was actually telling me. So yeah, this is how it works in the game and is effectively the life cycle of this Pokémon. And that is scary as it is. However, if I was to explain to you a real world influence for this idea was, then you'll realise that this idea goes from a little bit creepy to absolutely horrifying very quickly. So, these mushrooms, Toshukaso, is the Japanese name of a caterpillar fungus, a real world fungus that replaces the host tissue and can effectively implant itself into an insect host, changing its behaviour. The real life cycle of this fungus is that spores attach to the exoskeleton of their soon-to-be host, such as an ant, when the spore will eventually break through using mechanical pressure and enzymes to penetrate the ant. which effectively allows the fungus to manipulate the behaviour of the ant. Hence, zombie ant. It's basically being controlled by this spore in one of the most horrifying things you could probably think of in the wild, and that's not the end of it, because this is only phase 1. The next phase is that the spore effectively controls the ant, gets it to climb a really high stem on a plant, and then climbs onto the big vein running up one of the leaves. Then it basically uses its mandibles, or its giant teeth, to claw onto the leaf itself and hang off it. So, very abnormal behaviour for an ant, but there we are. I mean, you can't really blame the guy when he's been almost mind controlled by this thing, but when I tell you what happens next, you'll understand why. So, when it's in place, the fungus will then begin the process of atrophy on the ant, wasting it away when the muscle fibres are reduced down. This slow grip of death will eventually kill the ant in probably one of the most horrifying ways you can think of. And the life cycle continues when the next spores fall down onto the unsuspecting ants that are down below, next in line for this disgusting life cycle. Yes, I didn't even know this was a thing until I started reading further into the topic. I mean, I knew that this whole thing was based on something in real life, but I didn't realise how crazy it actually is. And just be glad that nothing like this exists as far as we're aware for humans. Yet. And of course, this phenomenon in real life was the inspiration behind the Pokémon Paris and then what would eventually become Parasect. So, if Paris is the pre-evolution form of Parasect, what actually happens to the Pokémon to get to this zombie-like state? Well, this is where things get a little bit creepy. Yes, the Paris when it's younger will be running around carefree with mushrooms on its back, unsuspectingly draining it of all its nutrients, and then what happens when it goes to Parasect? Well, the mushrooms on its back overtakes the host and the Paris is no more. The Paris is controlled by the Toshokasu mushroom. The Parasect and everything it does is the mushroom. The actual Pokémon Parasect, or what was the Paris, is effectively dead. And yes, that is the reason why Parasect has those dead eyes, because it is literally dead. The Pokémon is being controlled by the mushroom on its back. Terrifying stuff. The host is completely overtaken by this parasitic mushroom, and it's been effectively drained of all its nutrients. The Pokédex entries for this guy also shows how disturbing this actually is. Pokémon Yellow states the following. The bug host is drained of energy by the mushrooms on its back. They appear to do all the thinking. You know what? If you actually read these entries, you might learn a thing or two, so some pretty interesting stuff here. The mushroom is the one in the driver's seat as outlined in Pokémon Heart Gold's Pokédex entry. It stays mostly in the dark, damp places, the preference not of the bug, but of the big mushrooms on its back. And, just to top it all off, I'm sure you're wondering how the rest of this story goes, and how this very, very scary life cycle continues, and then we basically just read this entry which answers that question. The Pokédex entry for Pokémon Crystal says, when nothing's left to extract from the bug, the mushrooms on its back leave spores on the bug's eggs. Yeah, brutal. And look, if you want to have an answer, yes, this is 100% a zombie. A husk of its former self, not in control of the body, as explained in the entry of the Ultra Sun game. The bug is mostly dead, with the mushroom on its back having become the main body. If the mushroom comes off, the bug stops moving. So yes, this index categorically states that the bug is pretty much dead. A zombie. This effective corpse of a Pokemon is very, very scary because whenever you're in a Pokemon duel, the worst thing that can happen is that your Pokemon will faint after losing a battle. But this is an actual dead Pokemon. In the game. Many, in fact, which I'm just going to leave that one to sit with you for a little while. Yeah, think about all those memories of playing those games and what you now know. And yes, having that knowledge is pretty scary in itself, but I think what makes it even more terrifying is that when you know that this is an actual real world thing, makes it even the weirder. So, I'm gonna let you have a nice sleep now and think about all the wonderful nightmares you'll have after watching this video. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what future topics you'd like me to discuss, let me know in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. Woo-wee, you made it to the end of the video. And if you liked all that, I'm going to ruin your childhood one more time, so buckle yourselves in, people. Do you remember episode 44 of the Pokémon anime? Because I certainly do. The episode was called The Problem with Paris. Just in a very brief format, the premise behind the episode is that the gang come across a lady called Cassandra that is looking to make medicine, and she has some Paris that are growing mushrooms, and she wants to try and evolve the Paris to get the big Parasect mushroom so she can use the mushroom as a wonder medicine for Pokemon. Seems pretty noble, right? Well, think back to everything I've just explained to you, and in the episode, the gang try and help Paris evolve into Parasect by getting it into battles so it has enough experience to level up. Effectively, what Ash Ketchum did was accelerate the death of the Paris by getting it to be forced to be taken over by a giant parasitic mushroom. I'm going to leave that one with you. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.